blow goat. Sorry.
Hi, everybody. This is Jason.
This is Pete.
And this is the Lost Legions podcast. And today we are here to talk to you about the spooky, scary Night Lords and their terror assault.
That was the worst fade out of a light I've ever seen.
Did you like the light? You didn't like it.
Oh, I mean, I liked it. It was minimal, but it was great.
I just turned off the lights for 2 rounds.
Yeah. I'm so scared.
Okay, good. Well, you're about to be.
Yeah. So,
recently, I went to the 30K Frontier event, which was really fun. Everything was an amazing time, but it was the first time that I really got to play the Night Lords. And we'll talk more about the event in a couple of weeks, kind of when it finishes running. I think we'll do the big run through for you guys and talk about more event stuff. But what I wanted to do was kind of touch on what I found playing the Night Lords, which I thought would be kind of interesting.
Sure.
I think the thing I was shocked about, and I think that my opponents were shocked about, was the actual power of the list and kind of how much carnage the Night Lords could kind of actually sum up. So I ended up playing against like an Alpha Legion player, 2 Imperial Fist players, and a Iron Warriors player.
Yes.
And I committed atrocities on all 4 of them. And I was surprised at how much damage the list did. Like, I didn't win every game. I won half of them. But what I did do in each game was absolutely savage the other player. And I was super surprised about that. And kind of what I did was I kind of had half of my list was a gun line, half of my list was a drop pod assault. And I really leaned into the fear mechanic. And I feel like in order to be super effective, the Night Lords kind of need to lean into the fear mechanic, and they need to lean into having large squads.
Yes.
They're
outnumbered perks, yeah? That's the thing? Yeah. Okay.
So their Legion trait, as you're kind of like alluding to right here, is that they're +1 to wound or +1 to armor pen if they outnumber you. And you get this with Blood Angels, and it seems like it's good, but when you get it constantly, it is so good. Like, just rushing in against Templars, right? So let's go back and rewind a little bit more, and then we'll talk about night fighting.
Just give us a brief run through of your list first, Jay. So
okay,
give just a very brief run through it.
So what I had a heavy support squad with 10 las cannons. I had a rapier destroyer squad with 3 rapier destroyers, so that's another 6 las cannon shots. And I had a command squad in a Land Raider Proteus.
Yeah,
with all decked out with las cannons. So altogether, I had like 21 las cannon shots. So I had a very strong back line.
Yeah, I say, Christ.
And I had 2 10-man squads of scoring for scoring units running around like little just tack squads with chain bayonets because they're Night Lords. So of course they'd have chain bayonets.
Yeah.
And they were just running around to score. And then I had a big 15-man unit of Night Raptors. I had a big 15-man assault squad. And because of the way the event worked, we had a 250-point strike force. So I took 5 of the Tiki
Chicken Tikas. Yes.
I had 5 Chicken Tika Terminators.
Perfect.
And what I did was I'd never run a drop pod assault, so deep strike assault. So I decided to try the deep strike assault rules. And how that works is on turn 2, you roll like normal. If you do roll for them to come in on a 3-up, the entire force will come in.
Yeah.
So what's happening is I had all 3 squads come in. So because of nighttime, what is sorry, I also had a librarian and a chaplain with the Night Raptors.
Cool.
So what's happening is because of nighttime, everyone's at -1 leadership. They're -1 to hit, and they can't aim over 24 inches unless they have something that allows them to do that.
Yeah.
So 2 things that allow you to do that, 3 things total, are night fighting, which I had because my whole force has prey sight, which you have to pay for, 15 points per unit. Or you can take searchlights on your vehicles, and those are interesting because what we found is they're always on, so people can see you across the table and always fire at you. But in order to target somebody with your searchlight, you have to first shoot them. So like a rhino with the searchlight and a bolter can only target someone 24 inches away.
Right.
Once they do that, though, that target is lit up for everybody else on their force, and everybody can shoot at them.
So you can't use a searchlight to see something further than 24 inches away?
No, you can if your weapon has longer range than that. So if your las cannon, for example.
Right, okay.
Or even if it's on your conversion beamer, something with a conversion beamer can shoot like 72 inches away. But you have to target it to shoot first with your searchlight.
Right, okay, got it.
You still suffer the -1 to hit. Though,
you can just see, can't you? See further. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're spooky shadows.
Yeah, okay.
So the other thing is night vision, you completely ignore all of the minuses. And the other one is the augury scanners, which allow you, again, to target anything over 24, but you still suffer the minuses, although people can't see you.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the ways around it. And I, before this entire thing, had thought augury scanners were a little overpowered. But as we'll get to in a second, I think that they're fine. Even though they
that's contentious as hell, but sure. All right, you'll explain.
You just wait.
Yeah.
So this is what happened. And I'll use the Iron Warriors fight as my example, because this is one I didn't win. And my opponent basically scored a whole bunch of stuff because the objectives were in the middle of the table. He drove his troops out there. But on the back line, he had, I forget what they're called, the Dominators or whatever, the really good Iron Warriors guys.
John Askim's his Dominators,
and they're just these this amazing Terminator squad.
Murderers.
They're just absolute murderers. Well, I call them. That's just because I'm Night Lord.
Of course.
He had the Terminators with missile launchers. Why can I never remember their names?
The Siege Turrets.
Siege Turret Terminators, thank you. And the las cannon guys, the Havocs.
Yeah.
So he had them all kind of like in different buildings and back. So I rolled my Deep Strike Assault. And so this is what I found with Deep Strike Assault. You come down with your first unit. Then you place that unit. You roll your scatter like normal. And if you scatter on top of someone, they can then place you 18 inches away. If you just scatter normally and don't hit anybody, or we come within 1 inch of anybody, you stop where you are. That's fine. At that point, if you have more units, you roll a d6. If you roll a 2+, you literally just place your dudes within 12 inches of that first unit. If you don't, then your enemy can place them, I believe, up to 24, might be 18 inches off the top of my head, away from that first unit. But that first unit will always come down. So the first unit's important to pick.
So you still roll the free ups for reserves? So your whole assault arrives as a one blob rather than you being tricked in.
And this is why augury scanners are not broken. I'll tell you in a second. Because then everybody you land within 6 inches of takes a pinning test.
Yeah.
So I landed next
just
to all of
force pinning checks. Yeah, okay, cool.
And it's nighttime. I'm spooky. So they're scared of me. So everybody takes a pinning check at -2. None of them were stubborn.
Yeah.
So everybody fails their pinning check.
Okay.
And then there's a skill that the Night Lords have called Bloody Murder.
Okay.
What Bloody Murder does is gives you +1 to charge and +1 attack.
Nice.
So my Night Raptors run in with their sudden strike. They didn't need it in this case, but so they also have sudden strike. So they're attacking on initiative 5. And just your normal guy with two lightning claws has 2 attacks, +2 for lightning claws, +1 for bloody murder, +1 for charging. So 6 attacks.
Yeesh.
For one guy.
Yeah.
I had 4 lightning claws. One's a sergeant, so he has 7. And that is 4 of my 16 guys in that squad.
Christ.
So I ran in and just like stab. That squad, boom.
Yeah.
And then as a Night Lord, you win all these combats, and people go, okay, well, you won by whatever 2. Oh, it's nighttime, and you cause fear. Oh, and you won by 2. Okay, so now make your roll by -4. Even if you're an inexorable Terminator, you still have to do the -2. Unless you're stubborn.
Yeah, okay.
So, like, this is what happened to Terminators. They failed and they had to make their roll by 2. And I killed the sergeant, so he ran away. And then when they go to rally, if they get away, oh, well, it's nighttime and I'm spooky.
Yeah.
So rally on a 6. It's like, so it just kind of keeps happening over and over again. There's so much synergy that happens with your troops. Like, I would break him, I'd run after him, even though I didn't catch him. Then he'd go to rally, and he'd run away even further.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was just brutal. And like, it happened when I was playing Harry. Like, Harry's like, I just can't do anything. Like, because his troops kept breaking and running away. He had 4 Land Raiders. It was 3 Land Raiders and 2 Vindicators. But I just shot his Land Raiders to pieces. And then deep struck next to his guys. The Templars weren't stubborn. They were all pinned. Jeep struck down behind the Vindicators, grenaded all them to death. Because, in case you didn't know, you could charge after you deep strike now.
Right, yeah, of course, yeah.
This is why I don't think augury scanners are broken anymore.
You kind of want to lean into it heavily, don't you? You'd be silly to just deep strike one thing down. If you're like, if someone's got 3 augury scanners or whatever in that list, you're just gonna be buggered basically. You
have to deep strike down, and you have to pin those things.
Yeah,
right? Or you have to pin them to begin with. It's interesting, right? Like, it's big risk, big reward. And I think, strangely, Night Lords almost do deep striking better than Blood Angels in a way because of the pinning. They do a different style. I mean, like, Blood Angels can come down with Dawnbreakers and Dreadnoughts and a bunch of stuff. And they're really good.
Well, I was just thinking that it might be worth me looking at the Guard of the Crimson King Rite of War, which you can 6 units with Thousand Suns gain the deep strike special rule.
Yeah,
and when they land, they gain Fear 1.
Oh, then
that's basically the same, right? To a degree,
yeah.
Or it's playing off the same mechanics, right?
Except it's not nighttime, but
yeah.
But yes, the exact same mechanics, and you will do the exact same thing. Maybe just not as hardcore, but still, it's really good. And like, deep strike, I guess this has turned into like my thoughts on Night Lords, but it also is kind of like a reflection on Deep Strike Assault. Deep Strike Assault is great. It's really, 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 really strong. And, it really works well with the Night Lords. And I think, like, in addition with their Legion trait, which I'm wounding everything, especially with these large assault squads, I'm wounding everything on 3s.
Yes.
And then, like, every round I'm wounding on 3s. And usually, because I ran in there first, and like with the Night Raptor sudden strike, I outnumbered them. I took out multiple units of Huskarls, which are like,
tough as nails, right?
The biggest, toughest guys on the face of the block. And you're still delicate, right? Like, you're still gonna die. I was also using tricks like I used the telepathy librarian to cancel reactions, and I was complete. absolute bastard. I'm not lying. People that played my list were like, that was so Night Lords.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think you have to be careful because I think you can give people a bad player experience if you're a total prick about it. So if you're playing Night Lords, be sure to do it with a smile. Be sure to do it with a laugh. But you can do some really powerful stuff. And I think overall it's really good.
Yeah, man.
Especially
you seem like you're having fun for sure.
I had a really
at the
good
event. Yeah, 100%. And I think you won maximum best player votes, right? So yeah.
Well, yeah. So
did have a smile on your face. That's the most important thing.
I think that was the important thing was I had to keep a smile on my face, right? Because it was savage, right? Like it was one of the most savage experiences I had, and like I had really good games and really tough games, right? Like they were really hard games, and I don't think the Night Lords are what do we rate them as? I think we rated them as a B in our tier list, right? But I think this also goes to show something we were saying is any army can win. And I think leaning into this, like I'd almost say they're like an A, but only if you kind of lean into the fear and the drop pod assault and
maximize that mechanic fully, right?
Yeah, and I think that goes with any Legion. Like you can maximize the mechanics that work for them, and they work really good.
Yeah, and you kind of should do, right, to a degree. Yeah. I mean that's silly words to say, but the reason why you pick them should be because of the way the army style is, even in the fluff, right? The rules follow the fluff to a degree. Like, the Ultramarines are super adaptable, like play into that super adaptable style of play rather than just going down one line, right? Or the Iron Warriors are super shooty, super killy, go into that route. So yeah, I think you're right to play into the fear mechanic for sure. It's just, I think the bottom end of it, or the bottom line of it, is probably night fighting is a bit too OP right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be. Yeah, the thing that I saw was that, which came into play, was that like because of night vision, I was always hitting on whatever 3s normally, but they were always hitting on 4s.
Yeah.
And there was one point where like I was playing Harry and we used the environmental tables and like because it was an event, like a narrative event, and all the ballistic seals got reduced by 1 because of like a blizzard.
Yeah.
And I started rolling on 4s and I'm like, this sucks. I mean, Harry was rolling on 5s at that point to hit. But I was like, oh God, this is what this is like to just try to hit. But yeah, I mean, also the favorite thing happened to me in that game was rolling 8 1s and 2 2s for 10-man las cannon squad. I never laughed so hard. Like when my 10-man las cannon squad went to, I laughed so hard. Best moment.
What are the odds?
I mean, somebody calculated them. It was like under 1% or something.
Yeah, I bet 10 misses from hitting on 3s from 10 dice. Crazy.
So yeah, I mean, overall, that's my kind of experience with the Night Lords. Do you have any questions or thoughts?
Yeah, so like, I guess like, what was your standout unit?
The 2 standout units, I mean, one is no surprise, is that 10-man las cannon squad. They were really good. I had an apothecary in them, so what would happen was I outnumbered your vehicles, which counted as 10, not yours personally, but the vehicles. So I was actually +1 to armor pen on them. So I, a couple times, blew up Spartans from the front.
Yes, nice.
And
straight through flare shields. Yes.
Straight through flare shields. And that was like so powerful. And like I did it twice in 2 different games. I just blew up a Spartan in the front. And it was rough. Sunder is very powerful. Las cannons are really good with Sunder.
Yeah.
I really, really liked that. And having a lot of las cannons is very powerful. The actual, I think my MVP unit was the Night Raptors, which I was surprised about because I think on paper, if you take them and Dawnbreakers and the what are the Raven Guard ones with all the Dark Furies,
yeah,
I'd say they look the worst. But because they synergized so well with the Night Lord's rules. They were really good.
Yeah,
and they work really good for the list.
I remember you were saying that they're rubbish, and you were a bit like, don't want to be using them, but I'll use them.
I still think they're 5 points too many.
Yeah,
it's 5 points for a power weapon. I think if they dropped them 5 points, that'd be perfect. That's my honest opinion about them. But are they still worth it, even that they're 5 points too much? Yes.
Yeah,
they're still great.
Good.
They're really good. And I don't think they're too overpowered because they're only armor 3. They do have 2 wounds, but like, if you're using them like I did, nobody shot me because I was like just absolutely on top of people the whole time. And it was, that army can be very, there was one game where I was the defender and my opponent was like, you'd never know that I was attacking you. Because
okay.
I was all over him, right? Like it was super offensive. But yeah,
that's the best form of defense.
It's good form of offense. But yeah,
any other notes? Anything else you want to?
No, I think that pretty much wraps it up. That I was
good overview of your experiences with them.
Yeah, it was really good. They were really fun. They were more powerful than I thought. Really good time with the fear mechanic. Look out if you want to be a good opponent, and because I think they can have a bad touch to your opponent. So like, do it with a smile and warn people. You don't have to play Gotcha Hammer with them.
Yeah,
they're powerful enough. I think if you try to play Gotcha Hammer,
Hammer.
By the way, did you know that you're -2 to your leadership roll?
Yeah.
I mean, I was very forward and open about what all my stuff did and that I could see in the dark. Like, I talked to them before we started about everything.
Yeah.
And what I could do. And yeah.
Brag some more.
Yeah, and then the Iron Warrior player was like, "Oh, you think you're tough?"
Yeah.
He slaughtered me.
Yeah.
But
Crazy.
Yeah, that's it, guys. So if you have any thoughts, feelings, questions, leave a comment. Hit that like button,
Yeah, and subscribe. As of recording, we're on 198 subscribers. Let's get to 200.
Woohoo!
Woo! Right, that was it.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Cheers, bye.